Welcome to the Business Growth Spotlight, where we shine the light and talk with business leaders from all over the world who share their expertise and wisdom so we can all grow together. I'm your host, Heidi Schalk, co-founder of HLH Growth Solutions, and we support businesses in scaling their revenue through outside-the-box visibility strategies. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're so excited to have you here, and make sure that you stick around to the end because we have a gift for you. But without further ado, I'm excited to chat with my guest today. Her name is Jen Henderson with Tilt. So welcome, Jen, to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So Jen, can you kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourself, Tilt, and your role within it?
Sure. I am a mom of two based in Colorado. I'm married for almost 21 years. I am the founder and CEO of an HR tech company called Tilt. It stands for Talent and Lead Technology. We are by definition a B2B SaaS company. It means we sell into companies of all shapes and sizes and support with all things leave of absence. So most people are familiar with your parental leaves that people take when they welcome a new child, but there are far more types of leaves out there, whether it be medical, military, you name it. So we support all shapes and sizes of leaves for all shapes and sizes of companies. We've automated the process to reflect much in the same way that TurboTax has automated the tax situation.
Mm-hmm.
The intent is to bring the human back to leave. So we want to automate all the jargon and all the necessary compliance components of a leave so that the human at the epicenter of a leave can do what they need to do to take care of themselves and their loved ones.
So what inspired you to start Tilt? Do you have any personal journey that was part of this process?
Oh, absolutely. This is 100% one of those ventures that was born out of personal experience. My background is corporate America. I spent 15 years in big business, big companies, and I loved everything about it. I had no exposure nor, quite honestly, interest in entrepreneurship. I was happy to be at an org of thousands and thousands of people. I also went through 7 years of in vitro with my husband trying to get pregnant, and I could not control that part of my life. So I routed all my frustration and lack of control to my career, which I very much could control. Therefore, I got accustomed to the top of the 9-box, promoted every 2 years. You name it, from a stretch assignment standpoint, I was your go-to person. And then we got lucky. And 7 years in, we had a successful cycle and I became pregnant. Overnight, when I announced that I was expecting, I literally remember the day that I was looking at my calendar and invitations evaporated for those tables that I had become very accustomed to being a part of. It was my first lived experience that this doesn't feel very good. But anyone who struggled with infertility knows that the path to pregnancy trumps everything. So I turned the other cheek, essentially. 5 years later, a different company, a different stage of my career. When I announced I was expecting with my daughter, I had a promotion rescinded. And I couldn't accept that, and I couldn't turn the other cheek. So yes, that's illegal. Yes, I sought counsel. But as I'm sure many of your listeners know, to pursue that course of action, you sign a whole bunch of paperwork that says you'll never talk about what happened to you again.
Yeah.
And I saw that to be hush money. So I wasn't willing to pursue that course. And I opted to jump into this wild world of entrepreneurship and try to make it better for others like me, because I knew what I had gone through then wasn't unique, and unfortunately still today is happening far more frequently than I would care to admit. So we're working as fast as we can to effectuate change.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited to have you here because I love the message and I love what you're doing. And I think it's really important. And I know that if you've gone through it, there's so many more that have gone through it and not able to take the action that you've taken. So thank you for what you're doing. Tilt is redefining how we think about career transitions. So what gap did you see in the market, and how is Tilt filling it differently than traditional leave management solutions?
Leave management solutions largely came to be out of a reactivity to the FMLA legislation passed in the 70s. So insurance carriers, by and large, took the market out of necessity, and the experience is commensurate with that. And they would be the first to admit it. They're not in the business of leave management. They're in the business of short-term and long-term disability policies and premiums. So many of those individuals who have experienced a leave of absence have experienced things like call centers. You never get the same person twice. Mm-hmm. You're very confused as to what you have in terms of job protection versus pay augmentation. And then what's made it even more complex is the passing of state by state paid leave legislation. I sit here in the state of Colorado. We have passed paid leave legislation, actually the only state in the union to pass it by popular vote, which we're very proud of. But that means that an HR representative needs to know how to navigate a leave in Colorado differently from California, differently from Florida. So it's become incredibly complex and honestly untenable for what typically used to be handled on spreadsheets or whiteboards. So the way that we are revolutionizing the current state is, as I mentioned earlier, automating what should be automated. Anytime you hear spreadsheets, those entrepreneurs out there in the world, I'm sure the bells go off of, well, that should be automated. There's no need to be in a spreadsheet. And we feel very much the same.
So leave of absence is an often overlooked business function, which you just shared. Why do you believe it's such a critical lever for DEI culture and employee retention?
Well, if you think about the life events that typically are the impetus of a leave of absence, sometimes they can be the best events of your life, like welcoming a new child, and sometimes they can be the worst, like losing a loved one, losing a baby even. So there are so many answers to that question as it relates to supporting a human going through a very human experience as an employer. I will say that leave of absence, to your point, is an often overlooked and prior to COVID-19, often unrealized component of the employee life cycle. At any given point in time prior to COVID-19, 7% of an employee population was engaging in some sort of a leave of absence for some reason or another. Since COVID-19, that has doubled and is still on the rise. So anywhere between 15% and 20% of an employee population is engaging in a leave, largely predicated by the increase in mental wellness leaves. One of our favorite CHROs of the early days of Tilt said to us, leave got a seat at the table that it's needed to have for a very long time, and we feel that. So this is a new normal. What was a premium benefit in terms of offering a company paid leave program is absolutely table stakes. We hear all the time employees turning down employers because they don't have a paid leave program, or asking for, what is your parental leave policy during the interview? It's become far more normalized, which we're here for it. But you know what, we work with employers, so we want to make it easy for them too. We want to make sure that we explain the business case, the ROI, how to make it work for everyone involved in the leave.
Absolutely. The goal is companies, thrive and grow through the employee retention. If the turnover is consistent, it's just not going to work. And I love that people are asking those questions more and more now than they ever were before. And when they're looking for a job. So how is Tilt using technology to bring empathy and efficiency into a typically fragmented and compliance heavy process?
Well, I would break that into two different answers. Okay. Bringing technology into an empathy positioning for an employee going through leave of absence is, let's make it easy. Let's make it simple. Let's remove the jargon. Let's allow an employee to get in and get out and do only what they need to do and not have that overhead and that worry of, did I file the right forms? Who do I need to call to make this pay augmentation happen, et cetera? The efficiency is, I fundamentally believe, and I've believed it for a very long time, cutting my teeth professionally at a small brand that many of your listeners probably know, which is Starbucks. There's a reason you get the same vanilla latte in Miami as you do in Denver. That reason is operationalizing and having standards in place as to how you build those types of drinks. I thought very, very similarly to a leave, we need to automate and we need to operationalize the consistency of the application of any company's leave policy so that there is a very clear path for anyone engaging in a leave. They don't need to call HR every single time. They don't need to look at their coworker around the water cooler and say, what was your experience like? Because those stories are never good. So we wanted to make that automation and efficiency clear and available to everyone in the organization. And then from there, again, we allow the employee to do what they need to do. We allow the manager to be the best version of themselves, supporting their employee. And then obviously our HR partners removing incredible administrative burden for them.
Yeah. So let's talk challenges. What challenges have you faced while scaling your company, especially in a tech forward space? And how did you overcome them?
There's truly not enough time to answer that question. So I will have to ruthlessly prioritize what's been challenging. First and foremost is I am a first-time female founder with young kids. That is the trifecta of headwinds that you can't You can't really get the odds stacked against you any higher than that, except maybe if I were a diversity founder and identified as a person of color, which is really abysmal in terms of the venture capital available. But the simply who I am and what I am made up of put me behind significantly. And to put a finer point on it, only 2% of venture capital is allocated to female founders. So the largest barrier that I have faced throughout the 8 years of bringing Tilt into the world and out of the earth has been access to capital. I don't come from money. I don't have rich relatives. I was not willing to financially decimate my family's savings or second mortgage my house. I operated with the point of view that if Tilt was deserving to be in the world, if it was solving a real problem, that I would find a way to fund it. And so we have raised 5 rounds of capital. We are post Series B in terms of stage of the company's growth, and we support almost 700 companies today. And I'm really proud of that, but I really truly believe that the path shouldn't have been as hard as it has for me and for other female and diverse founders out there. So giant headline, giant billboard, that is without question the hardest part of bringing this company into the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's your North Star, Jen? What is the big goals for you until the next 12 months?
My North Star has never changed in 8 years, which is probably the most consistent element of being an entrepreneur, in that we are orienting every year, every round, every scorecard to maximum penetration of the market. Whereas other entrepreneurs, and my hats go off to them, it's a first mover advantage, it's a land grab. For us, we know how detrimental leave gone wrong can be to human beings' lives. So we want to get in their hands as fast as possible so that we can start to reverse that trend of whether it be career stagnation, discrimination, financial insecurity, or worse. We want to start to turn the tides. And so we've got to move as fast as humanly possible. And that's what every single round of financing is positioning us for. So that's not changed. And that's where we'll go in the next 12 months, is just continuing to get into more hands as fast as we can.
How are you getting in front of well, first, share with us for those who are listening, share with us exactly who is the companies that you work with. Are you pretty agnostic about across the board, or is it's specific? Let's start there. Well,
the good news for us is that leave happens everywhere. It's a pervasive life event. So it is industry agnostic by definition, but that's not a very smart go-to-market strategy, as I'm sure your listeners know. So we support primarily our target is 500 to 5,000 employee size. However, we support both sides of that bell curve because leave is agnostic. So we target that SMB mid-market area, most resourcing against it with most intent, with most familiarity and repeatable motion. But again, the pull on the other sides of that bell curve is real, and we see it, and we're working as fast as we can, again, to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those other sides of our ICP as well.
And how are they becoming aware of you? How are you getting in front of them? What's worked for you as far as visibility and marketing? And then have you tried things that you're like, no, that just didn't work for us?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a pretty diverse go-to-market engine, and all kudos to my sales and marketing team. I absolutely take no credit for this, but we have built an incredible partnership with benefit brokers. That's a slice of our GTM. We built incredible relationships with HRIS and payroll vendors. So we have integration and channel partnerships there. And then the third part of our GTM is our typical marketing-based selling, where we're filling our funnel and we're getting form fields, demo requests filled in, and inbounds, and your more traditional ad-based spend and things along those lines. Where I would say what hasn't worked, I mean, we've thrown all sorts of things against the wall. However, I think I'm a little contrarian as a founder in that I do not believe in the light money on fire and grow at all costs methodology that a lot of venture-backed founders tend to operate with. So my sales and marketing team has been incredibly methodical and intentional of $1 in has to equal some amount of $1 out, and you have to be able to prove it. And they have done that time and time again, which is truly incredible. So any of those experiments that haven't resulted in what we expected, we tweak or we sunset or otherwise. But we are very prudent on our financial hygiene.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So if I could give you a magic wand, Jen, and you can wave it on one issue right now that you'd want to take away and go poof, that could hold you back from achieving the goals that you shared with us, what would that be and why?
What a great question. I think I would wave the magic wand for the automation of our product to be instantaneous. We have an enormous amount of automation to do, not only because the legislation and the compliance components around leave are so complex, but they're also dynamic. So they change all the time. So if I could have that power to wave the wand and have it be already automated in the product, I would.
That's amazing. One last question for you. What does success look like for you in the next, say, 12 months? If we could revisit this conversation and bring you back in a year, what would success look like for you in Tilt?
Well, in 12 months, we probably are close to doubling our revenue. So that would be a win. In 12 months, we have welcomed probably not a lot, 10 to 15 new tilters to our team. In 12 months, we welcomed more partnerships. We brought more SKUs to market, and we've integrated with more of our carrier partners.
Fantastic. So how can people reach out to you, for our listeners, and they're like, okay, I need support in this area of lead in our company? How can they reach out to you and connect with you?
You can find me directly. I'm very active on LinkedIn, Jennifer Henderson, and I do read my DMs. So I'm happy to respond there, or you're welcome to reach out to our team at hellotilt.com.
Perfect. So make sure that you connect with Jen. If you're watching us on YouTube, Jen and I right now, thank you. We're grateful, and hit that subscribe button, because our guest, just like Jen today, is spending time to share with you what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them. So to support you in the growth of your business. This podcast, the goal is to have more businesses succeeding. We see too many closing, and we want you all to be successful. So I'm super grateful for you, Jen, today, for sharing your wisdom and your journey with us. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, and you can hit that what's the word I'm looking for here? The 5 stars, the 5-star button, the review button, please do. That's how we're able to share Jen, Tilt, and more of all of our amazing guests with the world, so we can all grow together. And Jen, before I wrap, I did promise y'all a gift. I went at the beginning. So here it is. If you are trying to grow your visibility and you feel you've heard what Jen does, what's working for her, you feel like you've been throwing spaghetti at the wall and it's just not working, then go ahead and download our free Spotlight to Scale Blueprint. You can go to spotlighttoscale.com/blueprint. It's free. It's yours. And make sure that you connect with Jen. Go to social media, go to LinkedIn, Jennifer Henderson, and you can reach out to her at jen@hellotilt.com. Correct?
Yep, you got
it. Jen, before we wrap up, before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to share that I didn't get to ask you about or we didn't touch on?
No, I don't think so. Any of your listeners out there dealing with a leave of absence or supporting or in charge of the leave of absences in an org and you need help, we're here. We're happy to help.
Perfect. Thank you, Jen, for your time today. I'm grateful. Thank you for listening to Jen and I today, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Business Growth Spotlights.